been told the same thing your entire life. Work harder, push more, discipline yourself into the person you need to be. If you're not succeeding, it's because you haven't hustled hard enough yet. But here's what nobody wants to admit. That advice is incomplete, and it's costing you everything. I know you've tried. You've read the books. You've set the goals. You've woken up at 4 a.m. You've cut out distractions. You've done the work. And maybe you've even gotten results. But something feels wrong, doesn't it? You're producing, but you're also exhausted. You're winning, but you're burning. The real reason isn't that you haven't pushed hard enough. It's that you're pushing in the wrong direction. Let me explain what I mean. Hustle culture operates on a false assumption. One so embedded in Western thought that we don't even notice it anymore. The assumption is this: resistance creates results. You have to fight reality to reshape it. You have to overcome your laziness, your doubts, your body's need for rest. You have to impose your will onto a resistant world. But that's not all. There's something deeper hiding underneath. Hustle culture treats your mind and body as enemies. Your body wants rest, so it's the enemy. Your mind wants ease, so it's the enemy. Your natural rhythms and energy fluctuations, enemies. Everything about your actual nature has to be overcome through sheer willpower. And here's the thing nobody says out loud. Willpower is a finite resource. It depletes, it burns out, it collapses. So when you finally break, and you will, hustle culture has a ready explanation. You just didn't want it badly enough. But that's a lie. Here's the real revelation. The ancient masters understood something we've completely forgotten. They discovered that maximum results don't come from maximum resistance. They come from minimum resistance. This isn't philosophy, this is physics. In Taoism, there's a principle called Wu Wei. It translates roughly as non-action or non-resistance, but that completely misses it. Wu Wei means moving in harmony with the actual grain of reality instead of fighting against it. Think about water. Water doesn't have a goal to flow around a stone. It doesn't strategize or apply willpower. It simply moves along the path of least resistance, and in doing so, it shapes mountains. That's Wu Wei. Now here's what's been hidden from you. When you operate from Wu Wei, instead of from forced hustle, you don't produce less. You produce exponentially more, with a fraction of the effort. But there's a problem almost everyone runs into here. When you first hear this, your conditioned mind rebels. It feels lazy. It feels like you're letting yourself off the hook. It feels like you're making an excuse. That reaction, that's the hustle culture programming running deep. Here's what I want you to notice. Your body just tensed slightly when I said that word lazy. Feel that? That visceral response? That's the programming. That's years of being told that rest is laziness, that ease is weakness, that anything less than maximum effort is failure. But look at what actually happens when you align with reality instead of fighting it. When you stop forcing and start listening. When you work with your energy cycles instead of against them. When you remove the resistance, the internal war between what you think you should do and what reality is asking of you. You accomplish more, you feel better. Your body isn't in a constant stress response. Your mind has space to actually think strategically instead of just pushing harder. You make better decisions because you're not operating from depletion. This is the inversion that high performers actually use but never talk about. Not the Instagram version of hustle, the real version. The CEOs and athletes and creators who get sustainable results operate this way. They understand the paradox. Maximum performance comes from alignment, not from force. The reason hustle culture fails, the real reason, the hidden reason, is that it's based on a fundamental misunderstanding of how human beings and systems actually work. It treats your mind as something that needs to be dominated. It treats reality as something that needs to be conquered. It treats everything natural about being human as an obstacle. When you shift to Wu Wei, when you start moving with the grain instead of against it, everything changes. Not because you're doing less, because you're doing what's actually aligned with how reality works. So here's how this changes everything. First, you get permission to stop the internal war. You don't have to hate your body for needing rest. You don't have to resent your mind for wanting ease. Rest and ease become strategic tools, not moral failures. You integrate them into your system instead of treating them as enemies. Second, you start making better decisions because you're operating from clarity instead from depletion. When you're not in a constant fight-or-flight stress state, your prefrontal cortex, the part that does strategic thinking, can actually function. You notice opportunities, you see patterns, you respond instead of react. Third, you become more effective with less effort. This is the business advantage nobody talks about. Less burnout, more output, better quality, longer sustainability. This is how you actually win in the long game. Most people never discover this because it contradicts everything they've been taught. It feels wrong, it feels lazy, it feels like giving up. But here's what the ancient masters knew that we've forgotten. The hardest thing isn't forcing harder. It's surrendering to what's actually true. It's dropping the resistance. It's moving with reality instead of against it. This is the inversion. This is the hidden advantage. When you understand that resistance creates suffering and alignment creates results, everything reorganizes. You stop asking, "Am I working hard enough?" And you start asking, "Am I working in harmony with reality?" You stop measuring success by how exhausted you are, and you start measuring it by results per unit of effort. You've been taught to fight, but the masters knew something deeper. The person who flows with reality always defeats the person who fights it. Not through confrontation, through alignment. That's the new understanding, that's the shift. Hustle culture wins in the short term through force. Wu Wei wins in the long term through alignment. And if you're building something real, a business, a life, a legacy, the long game is the only game that matters. The question isn't whether you have the willpower to keep forcing. The question is whether you have the wisdom to stop. If this helped, hit like, subscribe, and keep it simple. See you tomorrow.